Hey, how's it going, guys? Mr. Boss for the win here. And in today's Grand Theft Auto 5 video, we are going to be comparing the Grand Theft Auto 5 map versus other Rockstar Games titles. We're also going to be comparing it to other Grand Theft Auto games, as well as other open world games that have come out within the last couple of years. I think this is going to be really cool, and is always something I've been very fascinated with, and I found some pretty cool examples online recently that I know I'd love to share with you guys. We're also going to be talking about what might have limited Grand Theft Auto 5's map size, and also some ideas and things we possibly could expect for the next GTA game and the direction that Rockstar might ultimately go in. So with out of the way, let's not waste any more time. Let's jump straight into the first set of comparisons we're going to be looking at today. The first of which is a Just Cause 3 Grand Theft Auto 5 map comparison. Now, I've actually played a good bit of Just Cause 3. In fact, we've got 3 or 4 live streams on my channel that have actually gone over really well. You guys seem to love that game. So if there's one thing we know about the Just Cause franchise and Just Cause 3 is that the map is huge, as you guys can see right here. Grand Theft Auto 5 is in the bottom left-hand corner, and obviously Just Cause 3 is the entire map that you're seeing on the screen right now. The first thing that immediately jumped out to me was the fact that the volcano in the top left-hand corner of Just Cause 3 is nearly the entire size of Grand Theft Auto 5's map. I mean, Just Cause 3 has so many different elements and little islands, and there's this obviously giant landmass and then the volcano in the upper top left-hand corner. And that's what I thought made Just Cause 3's environment so cool, is that there were so many things to do. There were so many places to explore. Wherever you went, there was different biomes for snow, for tropical, for more city, more desert. And I really, really liked that. Now, I know that isn't the most realistic scenario and environment, but nonetheless, it made for some really cool gameplay and exploration. Now, just looking at this comparison, it almost makes me wonder what was stopping Grand Theft Auto 5's map from being bigger than it is right now. Now, I have a prediction that really it was the last generation systems that ultimately held back Grand Theft Auto 5's map size. Because a game like Just Cause 3 didn't have to be developed for the Xbox 360 and the PS3. It was only developed for the current generation and PC. So I'm wondering if in some way that held back Rockstar from making Grand Theft Auto 5's map bigger than it is right now. Now, don't get me wrong, I am thoroughly impressed by the size of Grand Theft Auto 5's map. It is obviously really big, it's huge, it takes you a long time to explore and get around the world, even if you're using something like a jet or a plane or something along those lines. But I just feel like there could have been more. And that's one thing I see in Just Cause 3 that really reminds me of that. And kind of sticking with that franchise, here is what the Just Cause 2 map looks like, which is an even older game than Just Cause 3. But you can see it is bigger than both Grand Theft Auto 5 and obviously GTA San Andreas as well. And Just Cause 2's biomes, you see like the islands, you see the big inlands, and it's a really cool environment, and it obviously provides for some very cool gameplay opportunities. So that's Grand Theft Auto 5's comparison to Just Cause, one of the biggest open world games out there. Let's move on to another comparison. As you guys can see this image right here, this is a map size comparison of Grand Theft Auto 5, Red Dead Redemption, GTA San Andreas, L.A. Noire, and Grand Theft Auto 4. So obviously the biggest thing you're going to notice here is the fact that Grand Theft Auto 5's map is the largest here. And that should make sense because it is the most recent Rockstar game to release, and whenever a game is more recent, it's going to be subject to better technology, better development. What's interesting here is the kind of progression of how things went. We see GTA San Andreas' map, which is actually pretty big, and then you compare the next 3 games that came out, which is Red Dead Redemption, Grand Theft Auto 4, and L.A. Noire. It seems as if Rockstar kind of shrank the map on those 3 games, but of course added more detail. In GTA San Andreas, you had 3 cities that were compacted into a pretty small area, but because that game was originally released on the PlayStation 2, there wasn't a whole lot of detail that could be put into the world. So you basically just had these 3 cities, but there was a lot of content, just not a whole lot of detail. Whereas in Red Dead Redemption, L.A. Noire, and Grand Theft Auto 4, it seems as if the world shrunk a little bit, but there might have been more to do and there was more detail. And in Grand Theft Theft Auto 5, you seem to get a little bit of a best of both worlds from San Andreas when they wanted to put as much as they could, and also from those other games where they wanted to add as much detail as possible. Also, one thing that sticks out to me too, L.A. Noire is a pretty big map. It's just really long, and it doesn't have much width to it either. So I always thought that was interesting. If you guys have never played L.A. Noire, you definitely should. It's a really cool game developed by Rockstar, so check that out. If we move on, we see another map comparison between Grand Theft Auto 5's map and Arma 3's map, which once again is another kind of open world-ish style game. And this one is a interesting comparison because you can see the entire map of Grand Theft Auto 5 fits inside of Arma 3's map, which is really cool. I'm sure that you could say the exact same thing about the Just Cause 3 map in Grand Theft Auto 5, but nonetheless, just to see this comparison is pretty crazy and gives you an idea of, when you compare it to something so much bigger, how small the world of Grand Theft Auto 5 can actually seem and can actually feel like. So that's that right there. We're going to move on to a couple more comparisons right here. This one is pretty simple. It's actually Grand Theft Auto 5's world of San Andreas versus the 2004 edition of GTA San Andreas. And as you can see right here, once again, that's the difference I'm talking about. Rockstar basically packed 3 major cities into that tiny little world. Whereas in Grand Theft Auto 5, it seems we have obviously the one big city, and then there's just a whole lot of other stuff like mountains and seas and military bases and places to explore and deserts and ranches and farms and stuff like that. So, like I said, it seems like Rockstar used a bigger world, but instead of putting more cities into it, just allowed us to explore and gave us open wilderness. So I thought that was a really cool comparison right there. And if we move on to our last comparison right here, we can once again see the Grand Theft Auto 5 map on the right, and then the maps of GTA San Andreas, Grand Theft Auto 4, and Red Dead Redemption to the left of it. And you can see there is once again, a slight difference where Grand Theft Auto 4 and Red Dead Redemption seem to decrease in size just a little bit from San Andreas, but obviously Grand Theft Auto 5 has that big increase from those games. So that's extremely cool right there. The biggest difference to me is Grand Theft Auto 4 and Grand Theft Auto 5. Obviously, because there's a lack of wilderness and mountains and trees and sprawling countryside in Grand Theft Auto 4 that you obviously have so much of in Grand Theft Auto 5. So that's a pretty cool comparison right there of the last 2 GTA games. So I thought that was pretty cool. Now what I want to move on to is talk about the next Grand Theft Auto game. Now, obviously, we don't know anything about the next GTA game. We don't know what it's going to be called. We don't know the setting. But what we can kind of do is predict what the next map might actually be like. If I had to take a guess, I'm going to say that Rockstar is going to go in a direction that we've previously seen, and that is increasing map size. In my opinion, it doesn't make sense for them to have a smaller map than what we have in Grand Theft Auto 5. And because of that, there's been a lot of concepts that have been created. This very popular one right here actually features all 3 cities from GTA San Andreas, but kind of a more modernized, refined version for Grand Theft Auto 5's engine. It features Los Santos, Las Venturas, and San Fierro. That's a very popular one that you've seen a lot of people reproduce. This next one right here is kind of a Grand Theft Auto world map that encompasses all of the cities from the GTA universe. I've stated that this would be incredibly cool if Rockstar were to ever do this. You can see Liberty City up in the far right, Vice City down below. You've got Las Venturas, San Fierro, Los Santos. You even got some mountains up in the north. Some people have even gone as far as modifying like an entire almost Arctic shelf up there, featuring maybe more than just North Yankton, but maybe even upward parts of Canada and the Arctic itself. So that could be extremely cool. Those are once again some examples that I've seen of people doing and recreating for the next GTA game. Or if they wanted to simply go back and focus on one city, they could totally do that as well. Now, one of the biggest complaints I see about GTA Vice City is the size, and a lot of people say that that isn't likely to return because Vice City is so small. Well, here's an example of maybe what they could do in terms of expanding Vice City, making the city a little bit bigger, but obviously expanding out in towards maybe the swamp areas and maybe a little bit more inland. That is something I could see being a very cool feature, because if you you guys ever played Vice City, you know that you could see the beach wherever you went. And I know that's a very popular thing to do, obviously, in Miami, but there needs to be some more to the city. And I think if they were to expand inward, that would be pretty cool as well. So those are just some pretty cool ideas right there for future Grand Theft Auto map designs. We've covered many of those on the channel, so I won't go into a ton of detail, but the prevailing theme here is I still believe the map will be bigger than what we've seen in the past. I highly doubt that we would ever see Rockstar go to a smaller map design, especially because we've been so spoiled by what's been provided to us in Grand Theft Auto 5. So I'd love to hear from you guys in the comment section down below. Let me know what you think about everything we've talked about in this video, sort of the map comparisons we've gone over, and what do you expect about the next Grand Theft Auto game as well? And also, do you think that GTA 5 being developed for the Xbox 360 and PS3 held back the size of the potential map that could have been created? Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. If you did go on to enjoy the video, though, a like rating would, of course, be awesome. And also, subscribe to my YouTube channel if you are new or you like daily GTA 5 videos like this. With all the way, guys, like I said, thanks for watching. Take care, and I'll see you guys in the next video.